Hi, everybody. It's Laura Eisenhower, and we are really like right on the verge of a full moon tonight, and I just wanted to make sure I got a video out there. It is going to hit at like 1:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So, just kind of convert that, and it's not like it's just in that one moment, it's sort of just peaking because usually full moons last a couple days. And when we look at, the moons, we can look at the artificial component of it and sort of remember that there's going to be something that always tries to challenge us in a matrix kind of way. And these are also the opportunities that we can go to the other side of all that and reach the higher octaves of the moon that actually are represented by other planetary bodies that help us to, kind of clear ourselves. Planets like Uranus, the planet of shock and upheaval that leads to great awakening, creates that clearing, and same with Neptune, that allows our multidimensional energy to sort of override the lower emotions that the artificial aspects of the moon, try and create. So the moon is a really important thing to still focus on. It's when everything's sort of coming to a head from the new moon. It's an accumulation of energy that, finally illuminates in the brightness of that lunar energy. And it just kind of like helps us to assess where we are in our manifestation capacities. So a lot of people have been getting sick. A lot of people are really having a lot of ascension symptoms. And so if there have been a lot of blocks that have been held onto in this last cycle, this is a time where it's going to come to the surface in a way that's going to be producing a lot of symptoms. And it's really a wake-up call to help us to get on track. And it's very challenging because the physical body, and when things go wrong or feel off in the physical body, it can create a lot of panic because we're taught to feel like we need to go to the doctor, and that maybe, this is something that could get worse. So we're always on the cusp of either allowing ourselves to learn from our symptoms, to understand the message behind the symptoms, or we might fall prey to not being able to listen to it and having it get even worse. And so it's always unprocessed energy. Anything that shows up in the physical is usually something that we weren't able to process. And so the physical body has taken over, and it's basically like showing our unconscious, unprocessed emotional energy, mental energy, and even spiritual energy. So every time you feel something going on with your physical body that alarms you, just be sure to do what you can to, first of all, make changes that improve your lifestyle, but also really like tune in and listen. And step away from everything, step away from work and friends and all that outer noise to really give yourself the space that you need. This is a really special moon in a lot of ways. It is going to be in the sign of Sagittarius. And I just want to share an excerpt from an article about what this moon represents. And just as an intro, basically this full moon is exceptional because it aligns with the Galactic Center, which is currently at about 27 degrees Sagittarius. The Galactic Center is like a big black hole around which our galaxy orbits. It is said to contain actually the mass of 4 million suns. And that's pretty wild. So there's information from somebody named Melanie Reinhardt who talks about this and tells us a little bit about this full moon that we're experiencing. So this is a quote from her. When the last 5 degrees of Sagittarius are stimulated by transiting planets, a process of awakening is initiated. The arrow of the centaur points beyond what we know and at the same time refers us symbolically to what we have always known in our inner depths. These intimations have a strong felt sense, but are not easily verbalized or quantified. So if symptoms are really, really ramping up, there's a huge breakthrough that you're about to probably experience. The more this is internalized, though, the worse the symptoms are going to get. So you have to find some sort of outlet for release, whether that's through creativity, whether that's through communication or writing or sharing verbally. I mean, I'd like to have the group on Cosmic Gaia for that very reason, for people to really just feel like they can verbalize what they're going through. Because even our gifts and abilities, when they're internalized, can become somewhat toxic. So when something has been toxic, whether that's a trauma that we haven't released or a gift or ability, it needs to be released through creativity, through our voice. Just like when we eat bad food, the body wants to reject it. It's going to throw up. It's going to find an exit. And if it doesn't, it ends up affecting our DNA. It can damage our DNA, it can get into our organs, it can impact our cells, and it can create a lot of stress in our beings. And too much internalized energy can actually turn into like cancer. Not to sound scary, but we have to constantly release. And sometimes we're not going to feel comfortable releasing it to the people around us. And so the outlet of exercise or creativity with art or music are great outlets. Sound healing, you know, using different frequencies like 432, 528 hertz, and working with just all these different sorts of vibrations to help with any frequency modulation or any distortions that we might be carrying that might be impacting our creative flow. So this is a really powerful full moon. So I just really wanted to get it out there because it would be a really good time, even if you stay up late, to really breathe into this and really meditate on this. And it's so important that I put out this video that I didn't even bother making sure I look socially acceptable. So anyway, following this full moon, we have some pretty powerful aspects that will help us to carry this energy forward. If we sort of miss the peak of this full moon, the energy still lasts. And, you know, we can sort of compensate because obviously we're always working energy, but this is a peak time where we get to see how much is our energy flowing in a way that's healthy and how much does it feel blocked and how symptomatic are we? It might even be, you know, the thing is, it's not just our physical body. We might feel mental anguish or stress. We might feel something in our emotional body, and maybe it's something physical. Somebody on the Cosmic Gaia group mentioned ascension symptoms. I posted an article that's, you know, really helpful. But the thing is, if we don't take care of the spiritual, physical, if we don't take care of the physical, mental, and emotional, and that gets internalized, then it becomes physical. The physical is usually the final frontier. So we can kind of rewind things that manifest on a physical plane to look at the root of where it might have first hit us on a mental or emotional level, or where we might have spiritual blocks, where we might have been called crazy or projected upon for the things that we see or understand or know. So we want to kind of trace back some of these symptoms to certain events. It might just be something somebody told us one day when we felt, you know, really vulnerable and open because maybe we shared something. So we want to kind of trace those symptoms back. And that's a really great meditation, is to take yourself on a journey. Me personally, I never went to doctors growing up. I always traced my physical symptoms back to the root, and I healed myself. So if something showed up and I was like, oh gosh, you know, I want to tell my mom, but she's going to take me to the doctor and I don't want to go to the doctor because didn't feel good about certain doctors. Not to say they're all bad. No, not at all. But anyway, I always was self-healing. And of course, you know, later in life, I had some emergencies and I needed, you know, emergency help, but I still do this when I deal with the physical. I also want to share in some of my videos some really, really great medicinal mushrooms and different herbs and different things that are really helpful during this ascension time. So I'm putting this out for the Cosmic Gaia page for non-subscribers and subscribers. And, you know, maybe non-subscribers will feel like subscribing because basically I do a call-in show and you can ask questions. I don't really take readings anymore or do sessions like I used to do, but on a $15 a month subscription, you'll get regular shows, podcasts, and hopefully once a week. Even if I have to change, like it being every Saturday, I'm pretty committed to doing it once a week. I'll be doing an astrological call-in show. I can get your data. And then in case of a crisis, I can do a one-on-one with you. I can't really do more than one a month. And there's no guarantee that I'll do every month. It's not really an every month thing, but it's based on if you're in a crisis or if you really, really need support. You know, I'll make it happen. And I'm not going to keep track of how often you're doing it. So, but it's just one of those honor systems. But again, if there's a lot going on and there's crisis, by all means, please, you know, reach out, join the Cosmic Gaia page, find mutual support, you know, there, because we're all really connecting for the same reasons. We want to understand ourselves more. It's about self-knowledge. It's about sovereignty. It's about empowerment. And astrology is a really great tool for that. So sorry about going off on that tangent. So after the full moon and it being like this really like powerful alignment where we can just really breathe in this energy of the galactic core, which is actually very activating to our galactic chakras and our DNA. We're going to start the week on Tuesday after this powerful full moon, which is, you know, peaking at 1:30 in the morning Pacific time. Might want to wake up early and go for a nice walk and really just give yourself a lot of stillness before you start your day. That's really important. But anyway, Tuesday starts off with a Saturn sextile Neptune, and that's a harmonious aspect. And the energy of Saturn, when it works well with Neptune, is really awesome because Saturn's all about the reality checks. It's about physical structure. And there's a low energy when it comes to Saturn that has to do with, you know, the Saturn moon matrix that I've been talking about, that AI, that mind control, the false matrix. But the higher levels of Saturn are great. It rules teachers and masters, discipline. The whole idea is that we focus on disciplines that serve us instead of disciplines that we've been taught that actually suppress us and control us. So we want to graduate to the higher octaves of the planetary consciousness. So this week, after this wonderful full moon, it'll be really great to have a harmonious aspect with Neptune, because Neptune's all about multidimensional energy and all about the creative imagination. So we can actually bring that into the law of structure and really bring our dreams into physical manifestation. So if there's something you're really struggling with on a life path level, on a health level, spiritual, mental, emotional, anything with friends, relationships, family, anything at all, really tap into the dream realms, your intentions, your visions, the things you'd like to see happen, and bring it into the physical by speaking it into reality, by being consistent with this intention and feeding the physical world with it, you know, by taking really good care of yourself and really holding space for yourself and having great boundaries so nobody gets in your way, nobody pokes holes in you, and just really hold a strong container for yourself starting at the beginning of this week. Mercury also makes a conjunction with Mars. So that's the action part of ourselves. Mars, action, in the sign of Cancer. Same with Mercury. So it's very much about what do we need to do to nurture ourselves? And what words can we speak to others that are nurturing? And what inner voice do we have in regards to ourselves that can be, you know, loving and healing, you know, taking care of our needs? I mean, I'm like going for walks all the time. I'm like really taking good care of myself. And I know these aspects are really helping because I was struggling with that before a lot of these aspects came along, knowing that I needed to do it. And now it's like a lot easier. And it's next to the North Node. So the North Node's about our destiny, what we need to do in order to recover from ascension symptoms, in order to get everything on track. So there's this great surge of inspiration. And if you're not feeling it, by all means, speak up. It might be time to get a 15-minute reading if you're a subscriber. There's also discounts. You can get a reading for $50 for a half hour. So actually I'm putting this out on YouTube. This is something that, you know, people, you know, need to know is what I'm doing. Also interviews. I'll be doing videos of things that I share at events that most people will not have exposure to if you can't go to those events. So this beginning of the week is a really amazing time to create a safe container for yourself, to bring in that dream energy, to focus on what you know you need to do in order to thrive, and to step up to the plate and make it happen. We have a choice. We can either choose things that are unhealthy or choose things that are healthy. And in every moment, we can choose to love and nurture ourselves. And with, you know, a lot of us have self-destructive tendencies, and it's not so easy. So we got to ask ourselves, what's getting in the way? Is it our childhood? Was it the way we were raised? Is it something more unconscious, like something that might have happened in a past life? Is it recovering from an ex, maybe a narcissist ex? Is it something that you're fearing about your physical health? Is it insecurity about your mission, about your gifts and abilities and expressing them because of what others might think? So it's really time to ask those kind of questions. On Wednesday, Mercury is going to actually be opposite Pluto. Same with Mars. So we're going to teeter-totter back and forth between what do we need to do to be on track and what do we need to transmute and alchemize and heal in order for us to do that. So it's an opposition, which means we're going to go back and forth. So when we go back and forth, let's take the junk that's getting in the way and throw it into the recycle bin, which is what Pluto represents. It's the planet of death, rebirth, alchemy, and transformation. So that's going to be very powerful. And Pluto happens to be in the sign of Capricorn, and same with Saturn. And when we look at the North and South Node, and we look at the eclipses that are going to be taking place in July, it's that same Capricorn Cancer energy. So I'm going to be doing another video about the eclipses. And most of the videos I'll be doing in regards to all this is going to be mostly with my podcasts, with that subscription, but it's interactive. I'll be doing Zoom events too. And the reason I'm charging $15 a month is because I'll be looking at your charts. It'll be interactive, and there's just going to be a lot more focus. And I want to dedicate a lot of time with it. And of course, I have to, make sure I can meet my basic needs. And when I exceed my basic needs, I'm one of those people that just donate as much as I can to assist other people and support their work in the world. So Wednesday is that teeter-totter. Friday, Neptune actually is stationed because it's going to be retrograding. And so that is going to be a time where we really kind of go backwards into reassessing what the next phase of our journey might look like as far as visions and dreams and intentions. So there's a huge push this week, and then we get to kind of reassess, because maybe we're going to plant such a huge seed that's going to manifest that we get to kind of go and look at, well, what's next on our agenda, like a spiritual agenda, a sovereignty agenda, as far as what dreams and visions we want to carry. I'm already planting seeds with my husband. We're talking about sailing the coast of Baja, which I've done before, and living very simply, camping on beaches. And we're just dreaming away over text because he's away right now. So I think, this is what is coming, just going inward and really realizing, dreams. But this week is also about getting used to holding that safe container and working with the dream energies, that are still direct. Even when they go retrograde, it doesn't mean that what we're still trying to manifest isn't a part of that. We just might be assessing what needs to be done in order to actualize it. So whether it's retrograde or not, it's just dreaming, manifesting, anchoring, making things happen. So the sun also enters Cancer, and it's a solstice. And that happens at 8:45 Pacific time. And that's really powerful. Sun entering Cancer, solstice time. And because I have to kind of wrap this up, any terms that you don't understand, totally Google. These are always, significant things and, represent something huge. And they represent something different for everybody. But, it's one of those, amazing times of really, experiencing this renewal, this major renewal and blossoming in a sense when it, relates to nature. So if you look outside wherever you live, I'm sure there's a lot of blossoming flowers. I've been posting some myself, going on some really beautiful walks. So Saturday and Sunday, the weekend, we will see Uranus making a conjunction with Vesta, which is an asteroid that has a lot to do with our own sacred space and the things that are really important for us to be dedicated to. It's an energy that is connected to both Scorpio and Saturn, I believe. Definitely Scorpio, Sagittarius sort of thing, where it's really, really intense, but it really needs protection in a sacred space. Uranus conjunct it will be just a huge epiphany about what that needs to look like for us in order to feel a sense of freedom. Because sacred energies aren't something that brings up something we have to be responsible to. It's something we want to protect. And I guess in that sense, it's a higher form of responsibility. And Venus also is in opposition to Jupiter. So we're going to waver back and forth between love and harmony and also expansive higher mind inspirations that will feed our heart and feed our relationships. And then we have a somewhat challenging aspect with Saturn when it comes to that. But anytime there's a challenging aspect with Saturn, it means we have to kind of cut the cord a little bit of where that limitation is, where that block is, and just really tap into it a little bit. Don't let it crush you. Don't let it stop you in your tracks. It reminds us of something like a weed that we need to pull. And because we're in the springtime energy, look at anything coming from Saturn as just a weed that needs to be yanked. So regardless of what signs connect in with Vesta, it really doesn't matter. I don't mean to bring up something that I don't have the exact info on, but I tend to not bring up the asteroids. But I do know archetypally what Vesta represents, and that's sacred space. And it is, God of mythology of the Vestal Virgins. But we're holding these archetypes, so we get to write these stories now. So this archetype just has to do with holding a sacred space, protecting that sacred space. So this is a really, really incredible week in a lot of ways. Utilize it as best as you can. The best teacher is our life and what life is showing us. Life is a medicine path. Everything we need shows up synchronistically in order to heal us. It's the matrix that creates disease. It's the matrix that makes us ill. So always remember that you will get your needs met, but you have to push the matrix to the side. Even though we have to wake up in it, we can observe it, we can function in it, but we're not of it. We're not programmed by it. And eventually it's going to dissolve. It's going to deconstruct, and we're just going to feel the abundance of nature and all the amazing activations that will advance us and our DNA and return us to those crystalline kingdoms and those higher, more advanced dimensions where we're all in so much more unity and camaraderie. And there's a lot of attack on the ascension and disclosure community. So we have to be very, very careful. So self-knowledge is really where it's at, and moving into that place of embodiment and co-creativity on this organic ascension timeline. We are the guardians. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Much love to everybody. And I will connect with you through the Cosmic Gaia private group on Facebook. Also, subscribers. So this will be one of the last videos I put out. To find out how to subscribe, go to cosmicgaia.org. You will see a link, and we can immediately set up a initial consultation and get your data in the system so that when you call in, I have your birth information. And make sure you bring your birth time. And so this is really about working with the Zodiac to upgrade DNA, to understand yourself better, and to really just be in this beautiful journey of ascension in a real way. Okay, so on that note, getting kind of sleepy as you see me probably fading and getting a little redundant, but much love to everybody. And I look forward to more. And come to Disclosure Fest, June 22nd in LA. I just put out a YouTube about it. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.